If someone had told me menopause included night sweats, anxiety, and suddenly forgetting why I walked into a room, I might have tried to prepare a little bit differently. Menopause is often reduced to hot flashes, but the reality is it is so much broader. Lack of honest conversation can leave women blindsided and thinking that something is wrong with them. This episode pulls back the curtain on the real, lesser known symptoms so listeners will feel informed and not caught off guard. Today, we're going to be talking about the parts of menopause that nobody really prepared us for. Not just the hot flashes that our mom told us about, but the sleep issues, the anxiety, the brain fog, the shifts that make you stop and think, why did no one ever mention this to me? Not even my doctor. We're pulling these experiences out of the shadows and we're naming them honestly and replacing confusion with clarity and reassurance and hopefully a little bit humor. So if you've ever thought, I wish somebody had told me this sooner, this episode is for you. Let's dive in because there's a lot we need to unpack together on this whole menopause topic.
Welcome to Letting Go Loudly, the podcast you never knew you needed. We're your hosts, Leah Lanham and Heather Hetchler, two midlife women, two certified coaches, and two friends who finally got tired of living by the rules we never agreed to. Around here, quiet compliance is officially canceled. We're letting go loudly and taking you with us. Now back to our show.
All right, Leah. So let's dive in. And I want to start by talking about the symptoms that nobody puts on the pamphlet. And, thinking about even the beginning, the only thing my mom told me, I don't even know if she told me, I think I just noticed the sweat, like literally beating off of her, but just hot flashes, hot flashes. And you don't know what a hot flash is until you have one. Like you can't. So setting the scene, I think most of us were taught that menopause does equal hot flashes. But for many women, the first signs show up in ways that feel confusing, unrelated, or even scary, like the brain fog, the things that start to happen that you don't always equate with menopause. And so I'm just going to throw a couple questions out here for our listeners and for you and for us to kind of talk about. But did you expect menopause to show up this way, the way it's showing up for you? Have you experienced symptoms you didn't connect to hormones at first? I know I did. Have you wondered, is something wrong with me? And you're kind of afraid to ask people. And did anyone ever explain what oh, okay. Did anyone ever explain what perimenopause actually feels like?
Well, I'd like
Let's say
to
you.
answer one of those. I started with night sweats and I did not know what was wrong with me. Honestly, I would wake up in just dripping sweat. My hair was short at the time and it was just soaking wet. I'd have to get up, go into the bathroom. My t-shirt would be all wet in the front. And I was still in denial, which is crazy because that's one of the first, but I was like, this cannot be night sweats. Why would I get night sweats? I'm young. I'm in my 40s.
Yes.
Yeah. I was young. And I thought menopause was like for old ladies, when they don't have a period anymore. I was still having, full periods. And I was like, what is this? It cannot be menopause and it cannot be perimenopause. I was totally in denial until it happened again and again and again and again. And then I finally started asking questions.
Like we can laugh about it now, but I think I was in my mid-40s too. And I just remember my poor husband would get up. He's like, where are the covers? Because I would be thrashing with the covers. And I remember I'm going on Shark Tank. I'm gonna buy cotton and flannel because he wanted flannel sheets because he was freezing it in the winter. And I'm like, I am dying. And I literally wanted to make my own sheets. And I thought, this is like the Shark Tank. This is it. I'm going to be somebody.
The cooling sheet.
I'm going to take half flannel and sew it with half, cooling so that we can sleep. Because I was the bed was just a tornado in the morning. I don't know what happened, but I was thrashing and I didn't think anything of it. I just was like, I don't know. I think maybe I was, a few pounds heavier than I wanted to be. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just sweating because of that. We still had kids in the house. So my brain is not turning off on on all the things the kids are going through. So I just thought my sleep disturbances and my sweating and all that was just stress.
Right. And it's not, it's like a totally, something going on with your physical body, and it is, I was in denial because I didn't want to think that I was getting older. I mean, who wants to, in your 40s, who wants this? You know,
You're right,
I
because I
wanted
think they
that.
always say, it'll happen to you in your late 50s or 60s.
Right.
And so, and then I remember going to the doctor for my physical and asking her about some of this. And I said, she's like, well, you're in perimenopause. And I said, well, how long is this going to last? And she's like, it's different for everybody. She's like, you could be in it for 10 years. I'm like, 10 years? 10 years. She's like, yeah, you can be in it for 10 years.
I know. The things we didn't know. I know. My sister was 2 years younger than me, and I would tell her briefly, like, I am just dying at night. I don't know. And then you'd have that thermometer leg out of the covers because you could not stay under there. You just one leg, and that was enough to just cool things off. But my husband he's like, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm getting like a night fever. I have like a fever at night, and I don't know why. I might have some kind of cancer. I don't know what's going on. And I just refused until I started talking about it. And that was the clincher. I started talking to people about it who weren't
Yeah.
talking to me, but I was asking questions and found out that, yes, this is probably perimenopause. And it was. And
And
it went
then
on for a long time.
then it goes into menopause too.
It goes right into it. Yeah.
It doesn't stop. I mean, I can laugh now because I'm kind of through it, but it is a lot.
Yeah.
And there's some symptoms that nobody really talks about, like sleep disruptions and night waking and night sweating. Like you go from like putting your head on the pillow and being out for 8 hours to like waking up every couple
Oh, yeah.
hours and like almost insomnia. Like
Yeah.
you can't sleep at all.
Yeah. You're right. Oh,
Sudden anxiety or panic that just feels unfamiliar.
Mm.
I think that's what took me by surprise too, was I'm pretty low key, like it takes a lot to really upset me, but I could find myself feeling stressed
Agitated.
suddenly. Yes. And I was
Yes.
almost like embarrassed to tell anybody because it wasn't my personality. And I'm like, and these were small things irritating
yeah.
me. Like if anything was going to irritate me, I could have given you a laundry list. This was just, and I'm like, why do I feel like I have this shorter fuse? And I did not like that at
And
all.
that's real. I mean, that is something that happens.
And
That's
nobody
really
talks about that one. I think
No.
that one, even the doctor,
No.
that wasn't one that,
Something that may not have ever affected you before becomes so intensely just on your plate.
yeah.
Yeah. And you have no fuse for it. You have no patience for certain things at all. I mean, I definitely was I never really yelled at my children, but I definitely was more on edge. And I'm
Yes.
sure they were all like, "Ugh," and they probably knew I was going through perimenopause before I did. Honestly, I just had no tolerance for certain things.
Yeah. No, it happens. And I think it's why we're talking about this too, because we don't want women to feel alone or like something's wrong with them, because I
Right.
think that's the scary part. You're like, what is happening to me?
Right.
You're not doing anything different, yet you're changing. You're feeling different.
Right.
And like even joint pain, heart palpitations, headaches, those are all changes that we go through. Libido changes. Some women want more, some women want less, some women want nothing at all.
Right. Yep. And those things definitely change as you're going through this, especially if it does last for 10 years, which I'm sure mine did.
Yeah.
The first 5 were just, I didn't know what it was. And then the second 5, I knew what it was, but the symptoms were changing. So yeah, little by little. But when you look at what's going on with your body, I mean, that's where all these changes are occurring. It just so happens that once, we go through this process, it does take a matter of years. And of course things are going to change. That's what I know now that I'm not really through that. I don't know if I'm completely done. See, that's another thing is, are we out of this? Because your body continues to change.
Absolutely. And I think
And-
that's the thing, when just because if your period's done, it doesn't mean you're out of menopause.
Right. Oh yeah.
And like, for me, I chose to, and I'll share, when I was going through perimenopause, I had a lot of bleeding. Just going to be honest, I had a lot of bleeding, and
Like almost hemorrhaging.
like
Type
I would
thing.
have a period every other week,
Oh yeah.
and the doctor's like,
And nobody tells you about that.
no. So I went to the emergency room once because I thought something was
just-
really wrong with me. I
yeah.
had just finished my period, and that was really what got the real conversations going with my doctor. But I ended up having an ablation.
Mhm.
And I kind of my doctor had actually recommended it before even that symptom happened, and I was against it, but I knew I was done having kids, but for whatever reason, I just didn't want to. And let me tell you, that was one of the best decisions I made. But because I had the ablation and I didn't have periods anymore, I a lot of these other symptoms blindsided me
Oh,
because
yeah.
I was totally done. So I'm thinking falsely, I'm kind of done. Like I kind of took menopause before it hit me and I just, I
I'm done
attacked
with
it. Yeah.
this.
And I kind of thought I was like, that was really cool. Like I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go through any of this stuff
Right.
because I took it on and I ended it and I'm done.
Right.
And so when all this other stuff started happening, I was like, no, 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 I'm not supposed to have any of this because they didn't really explain that to me. We did the procedure, it worked, it was great, like physically
Right.
great. But the other stuff,
Right. And I think some people get the impression too, if they've had a hysterectomy, that they won't have to go through any of this. Like it just will negate them from, and that's not
Yeah.
true either.
Nope.
They do go through things that might be a little bit different, but they might still have the, not so much the hormonal things, but the things that happen. Like a lot of my friends have had hair loss.
Yes.
Where your hair changes and your hair starts to thin a little bit from the hormones, or lack of. And certain things like that you're still going to have the brain fog. I mean, that still happens. Even if you've had a hysterectomy, I hate to say it, you're still
That's the
going to have
worst
some
symptom
of these symptoms.
sometimes, the brain
It
fog,
is.
honestly.
Yeah, where you're just somewhere and you're like,
You
you're
can't
just
find
blank.
words.
You can't find a word. You're just blank. Like, and you look like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Just nothing.
And this might be TMI, but there's probably other women. But when we talked about like libido changes, like my libido went up, but my irritability. So I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, I can't get enough of my husband, but he also irritates me. That shocked me. Maybe that is too TMI. I'll have to cut that out. But like, I was shocked because you don't hear about that for women. Like, I didn't expect,
Right.
all like,
You
and
hear about the
yeah,
opposite.
yes. I thought like,
happening.
if you're irritated or you're feeling kind of, because I wasn't feeling myself, but yet I was feeling that, and he had no problems with that change. That was what
Yeah,
he
that
could,
was a good
that
one.
was what he could take on. He liked that, but because it's just these are things you don't think about, and it does, and I like that the research shows it looks different for everybody. Even we're doing an episode on mantras, like menopause looks different for every woman. These are the big kind of core things, but you can't compare it. Like you might have a friend who's going through it mildly and you're like,
Right.
why? And you might be really wretched with all these things, but it's nothing you're doing. It's just
Yeah.
our bodies respond differently.
And this is another thing that just with the bleeding,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't talk about that.
No.
But at the very end of your periods, they actually get worse.
Oh, yes.
And if you haven't heard that before, I mean, sometimes there's so much clotting, you feel like you're going to die. You think there is definitely something wrong with me. And like you're passing like
Oh, yeah.
small little livers, or don't get too graphic, but that happens. And a lot of people, like Heather, you seeked a doctor and they wanted to do this ablation. If you are not for ablation, there are other things.
Yes.
That I have a
Yeah.
girlfriend whose doctor explained it like this, and I've never heard this again, and I had never heard it before that. He said, what's happening with your body is your calcium is depleting so fast that if you uptake your calcium, it will slow down this bleeding.
Really?
Yes.
I've never heard that.
She was having a period for months
Yeah.
at a time. So she was very anemic, and
Yeah.
he's like, and those were some of her options. And he said, I want you to get on a calcium. And I wouldn't do this without your doctor, but he gave her a calcium pill, just a plain calcium
Wow.
off the counter, and she started taking that, and within 2 weeks, her periods were back to normal.
Really?
Yeah, because of that depletion of calcium. So just a little thing to say, but it might be worth talking to your
Yes.
doctor about.
But I do believe in a lot of the nutrition and what we put
Oh,
into
yeah.
our bodies. But and that's what I find
knew?
fascinating too. Different doctors are going to have, and that's the thing. You can get a second, third, or fourth opinion. Like doctors are doctors, but they're also humans.
Right.
And I think talking to other people, getting information. And I know that it's so easy to go on the internet and look up information, but sometimes we cannot play doctor. Like it's good to fact gather, but
Right.
also.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put in a note here too. Like if you are getting blood work or you're having tests done, I recommend, and I do this, is I wait for the doctor to call me with the information because sometimes you are going to see numbers that don't look right, or because you can just get yourself in a panic if you try and read your own medical chart. So if you're somebody that does that, yes, don't do it. But I think talking about like the first symptom that made you pause and think, like, is this new? So if you're in the middle of it, or a moment you Googled something and thought, wait, could this be my hormones? And really like what we're doing, laughing about how wildly unprepared you felt for menopause.
Right.
And so even going into like hot flashes or just the headliner, right? Reframing that narrative that hot flashes get all the attention, but they're just the most visible symptom, not the most impactful. Because I don't know about you, but I am guilty of this where I'm having a hot flash and I'm telling my husband or the kids and they're like, oh, and I'm like, give me your hand right now. And I put it on the back of my neck and they're like, oh my gosh, what is happening to you? I'm like, this is what I'm telling you about. Like, this is real. You don't feel it. You guys are comfortable. You got sweatshirts on. I'm in front of the freezer with the door open, but seriously, letting them know like what's going on.
Trying to explain to them that this is going to happen. And, down the road, you're lined up to have this happen too,
Absolutely.
especially with our daughters. And I think the more we talk about it, the better it gets, the better, the more okay this feels. It's not a great feeling to have all these symptoms, but at least you're not crazy and these are normal and this is what happens. And thank God we can't have kids at this age. I mean, I'm kidding, because what kind of mothers would we be?
Well, that's the thing. Like when you think about like all the information out there, it's like, why do we talk about hot flashes, but not the anxiety? And that's why we're having these conversations today. And why do we normalize sweating, but not brain fog or emotional shifts? You don't hear a lot about the brain fog or the emotional, and what symptoms affect your life more than just your body. Because yes, your body has the night flashes, the sweats, the bleeding, but a lot of this affects your head and heart.
Absolutely.
And that's something that we need to talk about.
Yeah, I think sometimes that just the hormones, sometimes, like, I know of a lot of women that take synthetic hormones now because it just makes them feel better and more normal. And I do have my sister, when she started going through, finally, she was younger than I was, like I said, or is younger than I am. And she started going through, and her emotions were all over the place. Like, I didn't have that so much. Mine were, I don't think they were anyway, of course. But she would just cry at the drop of a dime, and just she knew that things were going on. She could feel those things. I know I've had the brain fog. I definitely know I've had that. But my emotions have not really, they've always been kind of even keeled.
Sure.
So I didn't have that aspect of it, but she did. And because of that, she went on the hormones, and it was a life changer for her. I mean, because even with some of these feelings of anxiety, you may feel depression as well.
Sure.
And it was a huge range of emotions that she was feeling, and it really gave her the ability to stay even keeled when she went on those hormones.
And I would say too, like the hormone replacement, that is something that's really important to talk to your doctor about, because especially so as a breast cancer survivor, and my breast cancer was estrogen fed, I can't have estrogen. And so there are a lot of women who are predisposed to estrogen fed breast cancer, and the HRT is not good for them.
Right.
So really talking to your doctor, because I know now too, it's very accessible to get a lot of supplements. And I think supplements work, but it is important to talk to your doctor about what's good for you, what's good for your body. You can always take the BRCA test too to see if you're predisposed, but it is, and that's another thing too, that breast cancer hits a lot for women in their 40s and 50s, right when they're going through menopause, which is when it hit me.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole nother level of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, as we talk about like the mental and the emotional side effects of menopause, which is important, I think one of the least talked about parts of menopause is how it affects your confidence, right? Your emotions and your sense of self, because when all this is going on, it has an impact on you. So, some of the questions too that we'd like to ask you to just think through is, have you felt less confident for no clear reason? Do you feel more anxious or lower than you used to feel? Have you questioned your capacity or your identity lately? And are you grieving the version of yourself that felt more predictable? And this hits at midlife, right? So
Right. And those
you're
are great questions.
yes.
And being a coach I teach a lot of physical fitness classes to women who are going through menopause or have already gone through menopause. I see a lot that people are frustrated with the way their body is changing. Maybe they're getting a little thicker around the middle. Maybe they're just having deposits of more weight in certain areas. And that's another thing that it does happen. Our bodies are constantly changing. Some days, when you think about when we were younger, maybe our jeans always fit a little bit looser in the legs. And as you get older, maybe they're fitting a little bit tighter in the legs. But hey, wow, my chest, I have a lot of room in my blouses now. So things change, and just accepting that this is an evolution. We are evolving every day. And just because you may be putting on a little more weight doesn't mean that you can't be healthy and still embracing all the things that you like to do. Accepting that maybe your body's not going to be perfect and you're not going to be able to walk the beach in a bikini anymore like you used to. That's okay. You can still do these things, but we need to feed our bodies and we need to be healthy in our bodies. And so maybe just thinking about um, our bodies and what they've done for us. Think about your body and how many things it's done for you up until middle age. Okay. It has gotten you from point A to B a bazillion times. It's allowed you possibly to have children and to nurse those children and to hold those children in your arms for months on end. It has allowed us to run and swim and do the things that we've always wanted to do. So just look at your body in a different way here. Like, really appreciate where you are and where you've come from and how good it feels just to be where we're at in our lives and have our children growing up and being able to see them. And I think that just changing that mindset a little about your physical body helps so much, especially during this time, because we are seeing just changes and they're rapidly changing things in our bodies.
No, that's a great point. And I think sometimes we can't. Our society does this, right? They do value young women. Our society does. It values youth and it
That's
values a
true.
youthful look. And it's like that question about, are you grieving the version of yourself that felt more predictable or that looked different? And I
Right.
think coming to a place in midlife where you like yourself and maybe, you're like, well, I finally like let go of like different things and I'm okay with who I am, but now my body feels different. My body looks different.
Right.
But like you said, reframing it to see my body has gotten me through so much and I'm going to love on my body and I'm
Yeah.
going to love it the way it is and the way
Yes.
it shows up and I'm going to feed it and I'm going to exercise and I'm going to embrace my body and love it because we should do that.
And it's the
And
temple for our soul. That's how I always think of my body. It is the
yes,
temple that holds my soul. And if I can take care of that temple, like I take care of my house,
mhm,
if I can take care of that temple, then that's what I need to do. You only have one.
we have one body.
Yeah.
Yep. And taking care of it and learning and, you know, taking those thoughts captive about negative talk on our bodies or on our, what we're going through. It's really, really important because when your body changes, it can quietly shake your sense of who you are. And nobody warned you about that part,
You're right
and just
about
like
that.
looking different,
Yeah.
your clothes fitting different. And sometimes I feel like it happens overnight.
It
Like,
does.
no, I mean, you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't recognize myself much.
Yeah.
I look different.
Yeah.
Or
I look
when
totally
seasons
different.
change and different clothing come and
Mhm.
it's like, this doesn't fit the way it could.
Yeah.
You just feel off.
Yep. That's for sure.
So what are some things that we talk about what you wish you'd known earlier, shifting, really helping women listening in to shift from fear to agency, right? The problem isn't menopause. We're all going to go through it. It's how little we're told about it.
Mhm. I think just being candid, like in our podcast right now, we're just being candid about some of the things that happen to us or people that we've known and just talking about it. And to let you know, it can show up sooner than you think it's
Yeah.
going to. You don't have to be in your 50s.
No,
Sometimes this happens in late 40s, maybe even early 40s.
there are some women that have
Subtle
even later
changes.
30s and early 40s.
Yeah.
Yes, it can
Yeah.
happen.
So, it,
And
yeah.
And some questions just to leave you with too, like what would have changed if you'd known this sooner, right? Or maybe you're listening in and you are in your 30s or 40s and you're like, oh my gosh, it's not something to dread. Actually, I love my life. I love this season of my life. I actually do. Going through it, there was a lot I was unaware of. I
Right.
wish I would have known a lot of this. I wish I would have known more than just hot flashes.
Yeah.
But talking about what symptoms would you have tracked instead of dismissing? What conversations would you have had earlier? How many women are silently wondering these same things right now?
Yeah, I think that knowing some of the answers to these questions and just knowing that it could happen to you earlier and just to be aware of, some of these things like the night sweats. Like I was totally in denial. I really was.
No, I
I
know.
was totally in denial. I thought something was wrong. I had no idea, but knowing that this may come and already having something that you can do for this. There's essential oils, there's all these natural remedies that truly work.
Yes.
And why not have those ready at the ready for when this happens to you and have them ready and you're going to know what your path is going to be. You're going to try every natural remedy to get through this, or you're going to, take all this advice that you've ever been given and you're going to apply these things. And I think just um knowing that this is going to happen and being aware that your body is changing and having some of the answers and some of the things that you're going to do to prevent some of these things or just get through them, I think that helps a
Yeah,
lot.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And even what we're doing right now, like I talked to one or two friends, but they were my age, but they weren't going through it yet. So they were really sympathetic and loving and caring, but they couldn't relate to me.
Right.
And I think that sharing with a friend who's going through it or has gone through it and laughing about it, like it's
comical.
it's medicine. Like even if you get to go out once a month or even a call on the phone, but just listening to each other and joking about it a little bit because it's not funny, but there is something about all
It's
women go through it. We
it's like a
all go through
sisterhood.
it. It is
Yeah.
a
So
sisterhood.
we can laugh about these
Yes.
things because they're happening and we can find humor in them. I
Yes.
mean, what are you going to do?
Yes.
You can't sit and cry and mope over them.
Oh,
And knowing like what you said, Heather, about what's on the other side
yes.
of this is it's really good.
It is good.
is.
It is
Your
good.
kids are growing and leaving, and you are back to being with your husband, and times are just different. You might
Yes.
have a little more money in your pocket because you're not buying, $300 of groceries. And there's really good things that can happen. And I feel like I know this is weird, but I finally know who I am as a
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Like before I was a mother,
Yeah.
I was a caregiver of this, of that. And now I'm just like, this is just me, like showing up for me.
Mhm.
And it's odd. It's a different stage of our lives.
But it's freeing and
It
it's
is.
fun because you're right. Like when I was younger, I did define myself by my roles. I'm like, I want to be
Exactly.
an excellent mom, an excellent wife.
Yes.
I want to be a good friend. I want to be someone that serves at church.
Yeah.
And now I still do all those roles,
Right.
but now I'm like, I take care of Heather too. I like her.
Yeah.
I like who I am. And
Yeah.
I know that not everyone is going to like me and I'm never going to hurt someone on purpose, but I'm okay. Like if I don't click with someone, that's okay. We're not meant
Yeah.
to be good friends.
Right.
And I really love my life. Doesn't mean I don't have hard days or doesn't mean I don't
Right.
go through things, but those hard things, they don't take me down.
No.
They don't,
No.
I work through them, but they don't own me.
Right.
And there's like a joy in that.
There's definitely, it's so freeing. It's
Yes.
a very freeing feeling.
Absolutely.
So,
And that's why I think we
Yeah.
click too, but we love having these conversations with women because we want you to feel free of this. We want you to let go of the things that are holding you down so that you can feel the joy, that you can enjoy your life.
Yes. And there is good on the other side of this.
There is good on the
Keep
other
that in
side.
mind.
And so I think just to do some takeaways, if you're going through things too, track your symptoms without judgment. Ask good questions at your appointments. Like, don't be afraid to talk to your doctor about the smallest change you're having.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to get a second opinion or to switch doctors. Advocate for yourself without apologizing. And talk about it out loud with other women. Find your safe circle. Not every woman is going to be safe. I've learned that the hard way. But talk about it out loud, laugh about it,
Yep.
connect, because we all go through this. We all go through it differently, but we all go through it and we need each other and we need to be able to lift each other up.
Yep.
And what we want you to know too is that this clarity replaces fear and your information will replace shame and it'll help you go through menopause, perimenopause, or even after the pause in a much healthier, empowered way.
So the season isn't about fixing your body. It's about understanding it. And as we wrap up this conversation today, remember that in this season of life, with our changing bodies and our unpredictable symptoms and a whole lot of unanswered questions, that knowledge is power and not something to fear.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to minimize what you're experiencing or push it aside. Just pay attention to it. Like Heather said earlier, write these down, write your questions down, write the symptoms down that you're having, advocate for yourself, and give yourself the permission to just adjust your routines as your body asks for something new. Let go loudly of your confusion, of any shame that you have, or the idea that you shouldn't just deal with it. And make space for understanding, support, and trust in your body again.
And there you have it. Another episode of Letting Go Loudly is in the books. I hope you're walking away feeling heard and encouraged and more empowered to live out your version of letting go loudly, especially in menopause. Remember that life can be hard and beautiful at the same time. Choose what you're ready to release and make room for the good that's already there. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe, like, or share with a friend and leave a review. It really does help us grow and reach more women. And you can find us on Instagram at Letting Go Loudly, where you can connect with other women who are letting go loudly and share how you navigate this phase of your life. Until next time, continue to let go loudly.
Bye-bye.
Bye.